Meeting to order. Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Mark is absent. Stephanie.
Here.
Stephanie's here and Dale's here. You get approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Scott to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by John. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'm going to look over the August 19th meeting minutes. Did we get anything back from Human Services Zone?
No,
I
I'll talk
didn't
about
see
that.
it in the bills.
I'll talk about that in the post.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody see anything with the minutes that need attention?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented and disperse with the reading.
Motion by Scott to approve the minutes as presented, dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Look over the vouchers.
So in here you won't see the human services bill coming back. I had a conversation with Mary and she would like to wait until the end of the year and then she'll submit for the whole year instead of doing half of or a little bit of a year and then trying to estimate what the next few months is going to be. So she's just going to wait on that explanation and just do it all at once in either November or December.
Okay.
What was it the last time? I was missing one.
That was the monies that we levy for the human services for the indirect costs.
Okay.
And so then that would be the county's portion of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. That's,
Okay. But the explanation was that that was the full amount that we levied for a year.
So if that's the full amount that we levied for a year, what's gonna be the difference when we do it at the end of the year? It's gonna be the same dollar figure, correct?
I think she said that it wouldn't be, that's just,
Oh,
like, it would fluctuate.
so the full amount that we were presented, there weren't invoices to corroborate that more than likely.
Yeah.
Those estimations, yeah.
Yeah.
Now we'll get it
It had to be one
actual.
of two ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
it'll have to be actual invoices at the end, yeah.
Okay, solved that. The insure forward, that's for the insurance on this building,
Correct.
that go up some?
That was for the insurance on this building and the, I know I got the insurance cards for the vehicles too, so.
That's okay. I mean, it is what it is.
That insurance. It's the auto renewal. Inland Marine. And general renewal.
Okay.
See, general software went over. Sonics, networking. What is that?
That's for our Google Workplace. I'm wondering if that should be coming out of a different account.
Is that a yearly subscription or?
I think so. I think that's our Gmail
Okay.
account. Let's go on here. No, that should be where. Yeah, no, that's where it should come out of. I don't see anything else I'd be marketing. And then on page 4, there's a bill for the CCAA for $1,000. That's for that a yearly thing that I talked to you guys about. And then once we pay it, then we will submit for reimbursement. So.
So that's that account it was supposed to come out of, but we didn't fund it.
Unless there's something else that's coming out of there, and that's came out of there that shouldn't have, but I wouldn't think so. But I can talk to Travis and make sure that that's where he intended that to come out.
And then looks like the weed is,
The weed, you guys budgeted that in, let me go there. There's $10,000 worth of chemical, and we know we're not going to spend that, and so then this is the maintenance on the pickup. So then, or there is, yeah, so it's the miscellaneous that we're just taking all these things for the pickup, and then I can get that reimbursement from the TAP program for this,
okay.
and then. Hi, Jamie.
Howdy.
Hey, Jamie.
Yes.
I move we pay the bills as presented.
Motion by John to pay the bills as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott? Stephanie?
Aye.
Stephanie votes aye. Dale votes aye. Motion carries. Gonna look over the monthly office reports.
I'll make a motion to approve the monthly office reports.
Motion by Scott to approve the monthly office reports. Their second.
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What do you got for us today, Wayne?
I don't have too much, but I did bring copies for everybody of the County Federal Aid Project program, funding program. Didn't know if everybody had one. And on October 4th, at 1:15, I'm going to meet with the DOT of the projects, and they would like to know, please review your enclosed program sheet, make any project changes or updates as needed, and return a signed copy to our office or bring it to our meetings in October. The annual conference will be October 3rd to the 5th, North Dakota DOT. Government staff will be available Monday and Tuesday to meet, and we have a meeting on Monday, October 4th at 1:15 p.m. During our meeting, we would like to discuss the following topics: project development activities and timing, funding, project development delays, engineering selection using federal aid. We would also like to discuss any questions you have for us and any issues you would like to raise with the North Dakota DOT. And on there, of course, we have our chip seals. 21.7 miles, estimated cost of $843,300, and federal aid $682,043. So I talked to Paul today. He didn't think we would have to borrow very far ahead, if at all, because this is just an estimate. Because 2022 estimate total would be $636,815 of federal aid money that we would have available. And we already agreed upon the projects. Then I was wondering if there was anything else that you guys could be thinking of for future projects beyond 2022. It might be 4 years down the road or something, but just something to put on there. I don't know if they'll require it. They won't require it, but after we chip seal all these, then it'll just be County Road 19, south of Cooperstown, and 23 past Sutton. So that was all.
Yeah, and that will be chip seal, that's the
Yeah,
same thing.
it's pretty good. I mean, there's some rough places and rutting could be fixed with thin slurry seal, they call it. That just kind of pours it over, they smear it out and level it out, and it fills the rutting, but then it has to be chip sealed after that.
Dry weather helps a lot.
Yeah. One road that really is bad is, of course, going into Red Willow, like that, but. And then,
I
you
don't
know,
know how
we
you never
should
fix that.
think about that County Road 8, repaving that, because we had some rain again, and it washed, come down Lyle Black's approach, and then it ran down into the slough, and it washed, put a washout into the shoulder about that far. So we just went up there on that following Monday and put some gravel back up there.
Maybe we should just rip wrap it then.
Riprap his approach. That's suppose. I think it needs a bunch of gravel to raise it up so the water run off before it comes running down the road into the.
I was at a volleyball game a while ago and somebody talked to me about that 2 mile stretch there, so they weren't happy, let's put it that way, you know. Just relaying the message. So.
Yeah, so we act on the advice of one person.
No, I'm just saying what they would, you know.
That's not the way the system works. It's for the benefit of the majority. And that is weighed against the cost.
True, but, you know, enough people complain about it.
You have a distorted view of government compared to what I have.
Okay.
It isn't based on complaining, it's based on need and cost. That's the way the system works, because there's always gonna be somebody that wants something,
Yeah,
and there's always gonna be somebody that doesn't wanna pay for something.
true, but.
So then it has to be balanced against those two factors. And if it's explained correctly, is it worth paving that road if you have to pay $200,000 to do it? And if it comes out of your pocket, and my pocket, and anybody else's pocket? So there's a difference in doing it and not paying for it, and having someone else paying for it and paying for it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to put these other chip seals on this list going forward?
I don't know. I mean, there's a maintenance schedule for these roads.
Roads, yeah.
Right, Clay?
Well, there isn't beyond this.
Yeah.
So do we want to add those additional chip seals
You
to
just
this,
add them
to
on
the
there.
state list? We can always amend it at a later date.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. At least then there's something there that shows that you have a need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bridge is probably something, it's kind of a pipe dream problem.
I think that. Of course, that's different funding than that, so that money is available.
Yeah. But at a lot different percentage.
Yeah. Can't remember if that's 80-22 or 80.
I don't remember. No, it's less than that.
But that's 23 that's on there, so we'll see what happens. And there may be more bridge funding coming to us as, I don't know if that stimulus package is going to pass. We won't need it anyway because we'll have electric cars, so. That's all I have, I guess.
Well, why don't you go ahead and add those chip seals to the list
Okay.
first, so they got
we've got in
something on
the
deck.
system.
We'll have one more meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
23rd.
before the 3rd, so.
Yeah.
We'll have Paul put them in there and then we bring a copy here and somebody can sign it.
Right.
Dale can sign it for the next meeting.
Right.
Okay?
Anything else, Wayne?
I don't think so.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.
Jamie, what do you got on opioid litigation?
So it appears that there's going to be some settlements coming. I think it was Johnson & Johnson has agreed to settle. We didn't join any of the lawsuits with any of the firms because the North Dakota Attorney General stated he wanted the counties and the cities to stay with the state so he could sue, and he sued. And he sent an email out, and it sounds like some money is going to be coming down in the settlement in the next 2 or 3 months. I'll likely be coming forward to you guys with a settlement agreement at some point. for at least Johnson & Johnson. I would guess other places are gonna be coming at some point as well. I don't know what kind of money we're gonna get. I don't know if it's gonna go in the state coffers and they're gonna distribute it. That's yet to be seen. So I'm guessing it'll go in the state coffers and the state will distribute it how they see fit.
And make you show a need, and if there's no need, then they get to put it to the general fund and use it to fix the problems of cost.
I would guess you're probably right. But that's what's coming. But I figured I should probably inform you guys that some paperwork's probably, settlement agreements are probably gonna be coming down, I would guess, probably in December, late November, sometime December.
Okay.
County probably wasn't too impacted by this.
Well, I probably would argue that. I mean, us being able to prove our impact, that's the
Yeah.
hardest thing. I don't know if the law firms came here. I don't remember if they came here or just in Nelson County, but they did present to the commission in Nelson County, and they had fancy slides, and they had some formula that they could figure out based on the population what our expenses were. We can't prove it. I mean, we don't know what the impact was, but that's what they were going to do.
Tax levy.
Okay, when I started, I had Linda Ledbetter from the stage come down to help me, teach me how to do mill levies and calculate out the taxable value. Doing it this year, I discovered that there was an issue in the formula that I had been using. So I was actually calculating out a mill to be worth more than what it actually was. So the impact of that was the citizens have been undertaxed for the past few years.
7 years, 8 years?
I can't say if it's been before that, you know.
Right, but since you
Yeah.
were trained by the state?
Yep, yep.
And is it,
The mills, you know, the road department, that they got 30 mills at the right amount.
Right.
If it was a set mill, it was the ones that I was calculating out the mill that were the ones that got calculated at a lower mill rate.
overall, it looked like about 3% under what was actually levied, or actually budgeted, the way it looked. It very dependent on the township,
Yeah,
because of the presence of the utilities in that township.
yeah. What I was told to do was I was supposed to take the taxable value and then add in the utilities. So that would be your wind, railroad, Cenex, those kind of things. But then come to find out that number that I was adding those in had already added them in. So I was actually adding those utilities.
The centrally assessed properties added
Correct.
twice.
Correct, yeah. Yeah.
So it amounted to some of the taxing entities that we just collected a tax for receiving less money than they actually levied for.
Correct.
Yeah. Did any of those bring that up
No.
prior to this? So they went on for 9 years and no one noticed it?
Yeah. And it's, you know, I made the mistake, but I didn't try to hide anything from anybody.
Well,
Everybody got the money that they were, supposed to. I've had my stuff audited. With the state. I've submitted different abstracts to the state. I've submitted things to the DPI. I've submitted, it's kind of a little mistake that made into something a little bit bigger than what I was anticipating, but nobody really said anything. So until I figured it out this year. So it's kind of a...
So the 13 entities that we collect taxes for. We don't tax for them, but we collect the taxes for
Correct.
them. None of those entities raised any concerns over the last 9 years that they weren't being paid enough.
No. And I undertaxed people, I didn't overtax people.
So the safeguards built into the system were, the first one is figuring the tax.
Mhm.
That was you. And you were trained by the state who's in charge of all this. From there it made it past the treasurer. It made it past all the entities that were collecting the tax. Not only didn't they collect enough, but at the end of the year, their books wouldn't have balanced. It made it past our independent auditor on a yearly basis, who's supposed to be in charge of that. And the state audits our independent auditor. So we went through a process where the citizens were not taxed the full value of what all these entities that authorized to tax them. The entities didn't miss the money, and the citizens basically got a tax break. Some way we can continue this?
I prefer to do it right.
Well,
On the other side of it, there were safeguards in the system to not allow us to tax too much, because what we look at is the mill levy amount every year. And certainly, we're used to it going up because of the state constantly pushing values up. If the mill levy would have decreased, which would have meant an increase in taxes, we would have caught it immediately.
Yeah.
So the safeguards for the protection of the taxpayer are in place. The safeguard, the benefit to the taxpayer is what we found and destroyed.
And I did contact the state and let them know about this, and their recommendation is that we just fix it, go forward. And I did say that we would hopefully put a little letter in the tax statements that go out explaining this in as simple as possible, so that everybody knows kind of what happened in the background, and then go forward. And the state thought that that's what we needed to do too.
So the outcome on the individual's tax statements this year is going, if they compare them to last year, is going to appear that their taxes were raised.
Correct.
Yeah.
When really that's how it should have been in
Right.
the beginning.
They were raised from last year, but for the last 9 years, they should have been at that level, because from the county's perspective this year, we levied the exact number of dollars as we did last year, as we did the year before, as we did the year before.
Mhm.
So the county's portion levy didn't change, but it's going to appear it did because of the counting of the
Yep,
centrally assessed properties.
correct.
So, for any of those outside agencies that wanna come back and try to recover that money, we're unable to, statutorily, we can't do anything, because you can't raise taxes after October 10th of that budget cycle year, the year that you're doing the budget. So to go back any of those years, it would be impossible to do it for anybody that is upset and looking for additional money, because it can't be done. It would be raising taxes on people from.
But maybe it's my view of government again, but what entity would find itself in a position to try even attempt that, when the entity works for the taxpayers?
Well,
And the taxpayers are the ones that benefit from this. It's not the other way around. The entity doesn't tell the taxpayers, well, you underpaid and now we're going to suck more money out of you. The way our system works is the taxpayers say, no, if that's what you want to do, we'll vote you out of office
Right,
and you
no,
go away.
and I agree with you, and the law is set up that way, that you can't
Absolutely.
retroactively come back and do that. And I guess additionally, entities aren't supposed to budget to the value of the mill. They're
Yeah.
supposed to budget to the value, or the budget that they anticipate spending, regardless of what the value of the mill is.
Right, so if they didn't know that they weren't receiving the money, does that mean that bills went unpaid and checks bounced? Of course not. So they were budgeting over and above what they were obligated to spend anyway. You can't budget for something that you're not gonna spend. That's why we have a yearly budget system.
Right?
But I think the school board has some questions because I guess you were under a different understanding than we are.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I guess it's just all learning for me, but I just was told that we're getting $80-some thousand less after we've already set our school budget for this year. And it's a hard hit for the school when you already got a $250,000 decrease from the state for the students.
But
The school isn't being shorted any funds this year. They are getting exactly the dollar figure that I received. It's just a different mill amount. But it's not being shorted a penny. You guys are getting the, let me go in here really quick.
yeah, I don't.
I don't know where the calculations are coming from.
The only way
Yeah.
it would affect them is if they're up against a mill limit.
Yeah, and the only thing that we were up against was that general mill at the 70 mills, but then that just got rolled into the miscellaneous, and that's only at a 7.75 mills when you can go up to 12. You guys are,
So were you provided with any information, or someone just said $80,000?
That's just all. I got a phone call, go sit in on the meeting and see what happened.
I think you better go have a talk with whoever told you that and have them show you the proof that's actually was taking place, because that's completely false.
That's good.
That isn't the way this whole system worked. Again, the reason this got caught was because people looked at their tax statements, and Samantha caught it and said, why did my taxes go up, not down?
Yep, so the school asked to levy the 1,545,000, and that's exactly what you got. And that's 100.95 mils. So the school didn't get shorted any money.
The only time that would have made any difference for the schools if the school was bouncing up on the mill levy limitation by statute. Other than that, regardless of what the mill formula would have been, if the school wasn't bouncing on the limitation, the dollar amount would have been the same. Only if the mill levies, only if you would have been at the levy limitation would have it ever made any difference for any of those agencies.
Yeah. I find it a little disconcerting, though, that the entity that's supposed to be looking after taxpayer dollars, the school board, and the management of the school somehow can think that they are shorted $80,000. If they don't have a firm enough grip on what actually took place there, how can we be sure that they're managing those dollars correctly? If you don't know that you got shorted, maybe you won't know if you got too much. And either way, the citizens need to be aware of that.
So out of those 21 agencies, was there anyone ever bouncing up on the mill levy limitation?
Garrison Diversion, but they do their own.
So that would,
They got 1 mil. The road got 30. The
Library.
library got theirs.
Fair Board.
Fair Board got theirs, seniors got theirs. So the senior citizens got their 2 mils. The CMC got their 5 mils. Emergency medical, so ambulance got their 1 mil. Historical Society got a 1/4 mil. Road Department got their 30 mils.
but unless they figured out a budget, I mean, if they're just strictly asking for the 1 mil and not figuring out a budget to figure it out, a budget, they were just asking for their mill limitation anyways. Does there really make a
Absolutely,
difference?
right, and it just, so but the there was damage done to the unencumbered funds of the county.
Right.
And if we had, not you auditor, an independent auditor that was taking care of business, we would have noticed that, because as we were paying the entities or budgeting the entities that bumped up against the mill levy, we weren't collecting that money. So that was coming from the unencumbered funds, the equity in the county treasury, basically. And we should really change our cash report to reflect the unencumbered funds also. See, we do the cash report here, and then what we're missing out on this thing. What page is that on?
I have to step out.
Page 20. See, what we're missing out on in this is the total's 1,446, 2580. It should be reflective of what budget, how much it has to be, how much of that is tied to the budget at this point in time. And the difference then will tell you what the unencumbered funds are in the county. And we would notice that over time then decreasing. So you're going to formulate just a little note in the tax statements?
Yes, with your guys' blessing, I would like to
Yeah,
include one.
put something together and we'll look at it.
Perfect.
The most affected would be like Broadview Township,
Mhm.
because it has everything in it.
Right.
for
There was some townships that didn't get affected by this because they don't have the utilities in there, so
Yeah.
then I wouldn't have been adding anything.
Because the wind towers, right, Dale?
Wind towers and pipeline and
Railroad.
railroad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's.
Yeah, Steve was looking at that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Every
And see,
township.
so it's kind of misleading, so what it did, it raised the overall value of the county. And then that's how you determine the value of a mill. Well, then it took less mills. So when you divide those less mills into the requested levy amount, you get a smaller number. So it raised the value of the county, but it decreased the tax obligation.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the page 23 is.
Yeah.
On 23,
Yeah.
that's your general fund, and that's, you know, with the right numbers for this year. And then 24 is if I would have added those utilities again, it would have brought the final mill rate down.
Mhm.
So I think in our township, it raised my parcels about between 8% and 9%.
Yeah,
That
because
was
you're
with,
probably the
that
most-
was with the school,
you're
that was a
probably the most
consolidated,
effective,
yeah,
affected
township.
township because of the wind towers.
Yeah. Well, good catch on it anyway, Sam.
Thank you. Sorry that happened,
You can only do what you've been trained to do.
unfortunately.
That's not on you.
And when you do go look at this, for the prior years, you will see a lesser payment than what your budget was. So last year, whatever your budget was, you didn't get paid as much as was requested. That was the effect of it. This year, 2021, you will be paid what your budget request was. So it's just the opposite.
COVID relief funds.
I put in all my personal information and I got you guys 200 and
$16,000.
yeah. Dale and I were talking just before the meeting of what those funds can be used for, and I don't think that the final, anything final has come out yet. All I know is that we are collecting interest on this right now, and I know that interest can be used for anything, and that's why they were kind of pushing to get it, or get your first half, and then the second half will come a little bit later.
And this went into the
This went-
special account?
This went into the COVID special.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So, just wanted to let you know that we did receive those in the bank account.
We have till 2024 to utilize it, so.
And I'm thinking that in the conference in October, hopefully we'll get some more information on them, or if Jamie has maybe some more, I'm not really sure, but
It's just half of it, right, Sam?
that's just half, correct? Yep.
When it first came out, it was for documentable, we'll spit that out again, COVID-related expenses, and
Right.
we really don't.
No, not the entity doesn't, but
Yeah,
it
but-
sure would be nice to put this against the mill levies, because obviously the citizens of Griggs County have been inconvenienced and suffered because of COVID, so why not give them the money back in the form of a decrease in taxes?
And if you read the guidance that they put out so far, it's a broad brush of inequalities and all this
Right.
that could have occurred due to COVID.
Right. But I mean, in general, it disrupted everybody's life.
Yeah.
Why not, and to what extent, you can't differentiate between people, but why not let every taxpayer receive something from this?
The language they put differentiated between some people.
I know, but.
Yeah.
That would be my hope, that we would just buy down the levy with it.
Levy, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find out more going forward.
Right. And it won't affect future budgets where it's sitting in that account, because
No.
it doesn't require a levy to keep that money there.
Nope.
Tax director.
I think Steph wanted this one on the agenda at the last meeting.
Had a good weekend.
Steph, are you still there?
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Is that what he's applying for? No, come on, we need one.
Deb?
Yeah, Steph's not on here.
No.
Well, it's not like we can go out in the street and grab one and.
She said that she had a work emergency, so she had to
Oh,
jump
okay.
off.
Okay.
Old courthouse, new courthouse.
Nothing I can think of.
State hasn't got back to us.
I don't know if Jamie ever sent a
Oh.
letter.
Yeah.
Was there, the last bill was in this last one, was, in this was
Yeah,
last?
the last one's the next one.
Okay.
I mean, the ones before were the
Yeah.
last bill, then.
Yeah, so we got another one in this, again here, right, for
Last meeting.
last meeting.
I was like, I don't think there was one in there.
No,
this-
last
No.
meeting, I'm sorry, last meeting, okay, it
Yeah.
is, sorry.
That's the
Yeah.
last one.
That was
Till
the-
next one.
Okay.
Last one.
Never
Well,
mind.
I think they submitted it, but we hadn't paid it. Was
Yeah,
that-
they submitted it, they sent it to me in an email and I overlooked it, and
Yeah.
so then they said, well, you missed this one. I'm like, oh, son of, I already told them this was the last one. So that should have been the last one.
We move tax director back to future business till next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else for the good of the order?
I sent the email out about,
Oh, that's right.
the conference. If you would like to go, let me know and I can get you registered. Also at the next meeting, there is that other email,
GSI.
GSI, yes, that one. Our GSI hasn't been updated since 2012, so Connie had some information and I just sent that out to you if you guys would like to talk about that at your next meeting.
What's GSI? What is that?
It's digital mapping,
Okay.
and it can be used by the tax director. It can be used for a number of different things, but the biggest use of it is real estate people and coming in and using it for
Or say,
private purposes.
say there's a quarter section and it's split. You
Okay.
use that software to split the soil types equally so it
Okay.
gets valued correctly.
So we don't use it so much, but these private entities do, and what we can charge for it doesn't come near to paying for what the.
It's yearly
service
cost on this
costs.
then?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite expensive. It was
But I think-
$11,000 the last time, and then it was very expensive.
Yeah.
And so we
Tim-
can only charge so much, because public records are free.
That's true.
And they come in here and they use it, and it gets used for a lot of things that we don't need it. We've been getting by, the county's been getting by without having it. It's just a service, and it mostly isn't Griggs County residents using it either. It's from all over the state, they're using it for different
And
purposes.
it's basically available for, it's a web soil survey is the same thing.
Yeah.
You can do the exact same
Yep.
mapping with it.
Yeah, if you can go to the ASCS, and that's
Yeah.
all part of the same layering. There's,
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to play with.
yeah, U.S. Geological Survey, and it's got all those layered maps, so
Mhm.
this is just one of them.
Okay.
The satellite goes over,
Yeah, it just keeps
yeah,
going.
keeps,
Okay.
many layers of it. So we got, the commissioners now, when we were elected, we looked at it, and we didn't see where it was a benefit to the taxpayers, so we just got rid of it.
I got Steele County's budget emailed to me and they spend like $10,000 a year on their GIS mapping.
Sure. Yeah, I just, that 11,000 sticks in my mind for
Yeah.
some reason, a yearly subscription, and it just.
And then you have to have somebody who knows how to run
Run
it
it,
too.
that's a big thing. man.
Yeah.
And who ran before? Was it treasurer, you?
No.
No. Tractor
When did we
director?
last have it?
Director,
You ran the program when you had it at one time?
it was through a different place or like an outside contractor would do it for us and it was out of the
It
tax
was the
director's.
appraisal, company in Iowa that came in and did all the reappraisals prior to building this courthouse, when they were trying to get values up. That's where it originally came,
Yeah.
got into the county using.
And then there
brought it
was
in.
another guy that came in and did an
Yeah.
estimate for you guys when I was
Yeah.
here, but
Didn't KLJ used to update them?
Well, I think they were just using our system, and we gave our system, what we had, it was with the computer and all the software loaded on it, we gave it to the city, remember?
Cause were they gonna utilize it?
I think I don't know if she utilizes it for the equalization process or not. That's another place it was used
Yeah.
and misused, because well, you know what it did.
Yeah.
It automatically raised values on
Yes.
everything, no matter if you upgraded your house, and you could make it so it upgraded everybody's value,
Yeah.
of everybody's house, and it was. Not a real good system. Yeah. But it's possible the state is going to mandate us.
Oh, yeah. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Scott to adjourn. Is there a second?
Well, second.
Seconded by John. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 3:28. Next meeting is on September 23rd at 2:30 p.m. in this room.